What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 182 of Value Town. I'm ChanmanV. That's Gaara, and we've got this shady-looking bunny over here. Shadybunny's joining us. What's up, man?
Doing well. Hope it's the same here.
Yeah, definitely. Got the glasses, because I know it's like, the glare is like so crazy from our foreheads here that you have to
Just to
wear the
have it,
glasses.
man. The blue light thing.
Yeah. That's nice. I've never actually worn one of those glasses.
I mean, yeah.
Does it help like a lot or?
It's just, it's like if I don't wear them because my eyes are used to them, like I can notice that they get like fatigued more easily looking at the blue light.
Oh,
But
really? Okay.
it's like flux, right? It does a lot as well. So like you don't need to get them. I just bought them like 5 years ago or so. So I'm just used to using them.
Yeah. Nice. What about you, Gaara? I could see you styling some of those. That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I had one, but I think I lost them while I was like moving. I moved so many times in the past 6-7 years.
How can you
Along
wear
the
them if
way-
you have prescription glasses, though?
Oh, contact lenses?
Oh, you had contacts? Okay, at the time. Got it. I was gonna say you have to
Easy
do the
clap.
double glass thing.
No, that's how I wear the
It's super cool.
sunglasses.
Oh,
Whenever
really?
when I
Yeah.
have contacts,
Yeah.
only then.
Oh,
Else,
okay.
I feel so stupid when I do this and I can't read the chat. I feel so stupid. Because I can't see anything. It's like,
You look much cooler, though.
yeah, just to keep it up.
Look at that.
I feel like this.
Look at all that green you have. You have a bunch of green stuff on your desk. That's interesting. That's cool. Good stuff. Well, anyways, thanks for everybody for tuning in, joining us. We're going to be talking about, just decks, meta, of course. Shady's here. We can, get an update and maybe a backstory of, his switch to standard from Arena. Iksar had a pretty interesting interview at GamesCom with Tice, or on Tice's stream. So a lot of good discussion points there. Figure we'd bring that up. And then Q&A at the end. So if you got any questions, kind of save them for the end in Twitch chat, or you can go ahead and tweet us at ValueTownGG, and we'll be sure to read them out. But let's start with our week. So this last 7 days, guys, what have you been up to? Are you getting ready for the final 2 days of the ladder here? And maybe what are some decks you've been playing?
So I'll start because
First.
my week was probably worse.
Okay,
Like,
start with the bad. Okay, good.
I just love playing control decks, so I always try to beat the meta with control decks. But I would say that because also at the beginning of last week, HS Replay said that Bakuwa is pretty good, but I think this is already when the trend began to shift to quest strokes and stuff. And whenever I played Bakuwa, I even faced Shadowwalk Shaman. I don't know why would someone play Shadowwalk Shaman. I don't think it's very good anymore, and it's not good against most decks, like especially with Zoo being like one of the strongest aggro decks, and Shadowwalk Shaman is bad against that. You can take your Shadow. It's because of the glasses, right? No, Shadowwalk Shaman you can tag with Pyromancer to beat like Odd Paladin, those type of aggro decks. But it's very bad versus Odd Rogue and Zoo, and it's not good versus like Quest Rogue as well. So it just doesn't. It's not good anymore. But I still face Shadowwalk Shamans and Quest Rogues and Fogwager Druids whenever I played like a control deck, and it's very frustrating. So I never had a good win rate. So I tanked quite a lot of ranks. And today, or actually yesterday, I went to the dark side. I started playing Tempo Mage, and I gained like 1,000 ranks.
Really?
And,
okay.
Yes, and then I think Tempo Mage is pretty good, but also a lot of polarized matchups. I started facing a lot of Barkowers randomly later, and in the very end, I started playing Token Druid, and I got like 70% win rate
Like
in like
everybody
3
else.
hours. And and I get like 2,000 ranks, so that was pretty sweet. So right now, at this moment, it's going great compared to the past week.
Yeah, Token Druid definitely seems to be the deck to play right now, and like you said, I feel like the reaction to the Baku Warrior is in full effect at this point. I mean, Tempo Mage is something we talked about last week, right? It was on the top 5 decks for the day, right, last week. So
I want to point out that Adieu brought Tempo Mage to the preliminaries.
Nice.
And when we had Adieu, was it last week?
No, Solissa was last week. The week before.
Oh, the week before, I said, man, one day Adieu is gonna bring Tempo Mage to a tournament, and it's gonna.
And he brought it. Okay. That's
and he brought it.
Interesting pick. Definitely interesting pick. Shady, how about you? Like, what have you been playing recently?
I've been learning mostly because I feel like I have so much catching up to do. I just want to, because I started out playing Tempo Shutter, like when I first started playing, because it looked like a fun deck. But then I realized, man, I really don't know what everyone else is trying to do. So I just started playing lots of decks. Last week I started grinding NA with Oddrogue just to rank up.
Yeah.
And then like around 1,000, I started playing Death Rattle Hunter, and that went really well, like up to 300, like not so much trouble. But then it's just Quest Rogue, and it was so frustrating. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna learn Quest Rogue to see, because it felt like they couldn't be beaten. I was like, okay, that's not possible, right? Like the deck must have a weak spot. And then you really learn that, the deck can have some clunky draws, or you just don't have the Vanish. That happens, right? And then you just die if you don't have the right things. So that was cool. Like about like 50% win rate with Quest Rogue, learning it at like 300, 400 legends. So I was like, okay, that's fine, right? That's quasi for free that I learned it. And then Token Druid, like as well, but the more standard version. Like Gaara was playing something spicy.
Which we can talk about here. I mean, why don't we kind of just go into the meta pulse, just because I know it on the topic bar it's like a little bit later, but seems to be a good segue into it, given that we're talking about all these decks. So always, like usual, put together different. Oh, not this one. I'll show that one in a second. Put together just the power rankings for the classes and the actual popularity and how it's matching up. And you can kind of see that Druid's on top mostly because of Token Druid. We've been talking about it for the last 3 weeks, and I always said that Token Druid's always good. It's just a matter of like what timing in the meta that it just kind of zooms to the top. But right now it seems to be the right moment for Token Druid because of all the Quest Rogues and everything that's going on right now. So they've taken over the top spot. Warriors dropped down a couple spots from the number one. Still doing pretty well, for the most part. So folks still playing Baku and Quest too, Baku Quest. Hunters hanging on there. Warlocks, pretty much sitting. I think Warlock, Rogue, and Shaman pretty much the same. And I think the rest of the way, it's pretty much the same. And Priest, of course, in the bottom, as always. So not too much changing the power rankings, but popularity is pretty interesting because Warlock finally is just out of the top spot. And I would say, like, the big decline of Warlock is like, really been happening like the last 3 weeks, and it just continues on. So like last week, I think it was like at 8, maybe high 18, 19s, and it's slid down to like about 2 or 3%, so it just continues to drop. Kind of matches up with what's going on in the meta. I mean, Zulok is, continuing to barely, hang on there, and kind of at the high tier 2 level, but that's about the only deck Warlock has. So there's not much to go on, from the standpoint of that. So the popularity can't go anywhere but down at that point. Warriors up 3%. Like it went from like 6% to 9.3%. So a lot of people playing. That's kind of what I mean by the Baku Warrior is like in full effect right now. So people are countering it at this point. But the rest of it, pretty much the same here. Anything surprising you guys by looking at this, Shady? And anything stand out to you?
No, I mean, it makes sense that the Zoo drops if we see more Baku Warrior, right? Like it's probably not a terrible matchup for the Warrior. Like I've seen a couple even locks, but it's almost always Zoo.
Yeah, true.
It's funny, like the first Token Druids queues I had like 2 even locks. I was like, this can't be happening. I was like,
right.
Where is all the rest?
There's a little bit of cube
well,
too.
by the way.
There's a tiny bit of cube lock too. I guess I failed to mention that, but
no, it looks pretty much in line. For maybe I would have figured out Druid was one more higher, like because I see so many Druids.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Gaara, what were you mentioning there?
That I also faced even lock. I faced 2 even locks as soon as I started playing Token Druid, and I'm like, I face only anti-control decks when I play Warrior. It's but I have this feeling like for years. It's so weird. Like it's like the first games you switch, I feel like you always face like
you always get the wrong matchup. Yeah.
It's so weird. But what I'm surprised is that, in my opinion, Druid should always be on top in terms of power rankings, in terms of ladder at least. Just because Druid is the easiest class to mulligan, and mulligan is like 70%.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Importance in an actual match, and it's the hardest to mulligan against because all the Druid matchups are different, and you want to keep different cards against different Druid archetypes. And from the Druid perspective, the mulligan is absolute easiest against every matchup. So for them, it doesn't matter too much what you are playing. Like most of the time, they would just keep like.
Okay, so on that topic, like this morning, I played purple, and I looked at this mulligan against me. It's Druid versus Druid. He's on coin, and he keeps swipe and Okens. Druid versus Druid, and I'm like, wait.
Oh, he knows your token.
I mean, I don't think he knows. Like, he probably just assumes, right?
It's the only matchup I can think you would.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
at
that's
high
the first thing.
legend should be.
That's kind of cool. Like, he took a while though. Like, he roped the mulligan. So I was like, well, okay, because I would usually never do that, right? I would just
because
a bit harder for the round.
It's common to play Whispering Woods on curve.
Yep.
And then only then you would keep swipe. In all other like only if he knows 100% that your token's right.
Yeah, but I mean, unless he was stream sniping, we just know you could 100% know. I think
maybe he is stream.
I mean, I think if you're gonna gamble, you're gonna gamble on Token Druid, like right now. If you're gonna, have to mulligan for something, so I think you can draw out of issues a little bit easier if it's not Token Druid.
Yeah, I mean, and a swipe is not the worst.
Yeah, it's not horrible, right? But okay, well, we can talk about the decks, the top 5 decks for the last 24 hours, and some interesting ones of, or at least one that's popped up that we haven't seen just in a while or at all. Like this entire expansion is Mid-Range Hunter. So we got Token Druid at 61.5% win rate, Mid-Range Hunter at 59.9%. Death Rattle Hunter 58.7%, Odd Warrior 57.2%, and Odd Quest Warrior 56.9% win rate. And this is like the last, I would say, like 32 hours, and between rank 4 and legend. These are the decks that have kind of showed up that have at least 400 games played and seem to be rocking it right now. So Token Druid, not a surprise, but this version of the Token Druid is the one that like Gaara's been playing, or something very close. And it's different. It's not the one with Violet Teacher, and the one that's very, very common that we've seen for a long time. Why don't you talk about this a little bit, Gaara? Like, what's the difference in this one, and why does the difference actually work a little better?
I think the biggest difference is it plays Floop and it doesn't play Violet Teachers. Floop is probably one of the top 5 strongest cards in Hearthstone. It's so flexible and it's ridiculously powerful. And when you look at the individual matchup win rates, Floop oftentimes has 90% win rate if you have it in your hand.
Oh my God.
It's higher than Kalisov.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's super insane. And yeah, that boosts the overall win rate, I would say. And this is why this is like probably the best performing deck. And it's like if people are not familiar with the deck, they're very confused when they play against you. And like if you face matchups like, let's say, Temple Mage, and they have explosive runes, you don't proc these explosive runes because you have no Violet Teachers. Like you can literally play the deck without playing any minions from hand. Like the first minion play is like the Giggling Inventor, but that doesn't get countered. There's like these niche situations you can get out of Defile and Hellfire range and board clear range by buffing up your taunt minions through the Scavenger, or what is he called?
Yeah, the Strong Shell Scavenger. That's a new card, right?
And you can get this twice through the Floop. It's just, it has like a lot of floods, and even the 1 Serenite Chain Gang, because it's split body, it's easy to set up these big boards and threaten your opponent lethal through like, Savage Roar combinations. I really like this version. It's the first time that I played this today, and it makes a lot of sense. I was never a fan of the Oaken Summons. Yeah. Like when you play Violet Teacher, you play Oaken Summons, just because it's a dead card. Most of the time, the second Oaken Summons is a complete dead card, and you don't need the armor, and you want to be strong against the aggressive decks, and you want to have these board floods and more consistent draws, and it's pretty good. I like it.
Shady, any experience with this deck?
No, but I do want to play it. What seems kind of strange is that you have the 1 Chain Gang and the power, because that seems to be the thing that you'd instantly want to combo it with, right? To make it really powerful. But I guess you can't really fit everything, right? So
yeah, but you have Giggling, Malfurion, Spreading Plague. You have
yeah.
So,
and then the strong shell goes really well with
I guess that's the power substitute, right? Power of the world. No. It makes little sense that this would do well. I guess and you have enough card draw that the Floop is not like an issue, right? Like you always have a target for it. So.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
definitely want to give it a go.
definitely
And
love the combo aspects of Floop. You know, just being able to control that a bit and just adjust, like you said, the flexibility of it's so good. But Strong Shell Scavenger, I haven't actually seen someone make that play on me when I've been playing all the token druids recently. So is it something that hits like spreading plague a lot or giggling? Like what do you think is the most common thing that you hit with that, Gara?
like when I play against Shadow Shaman, I bring my board out of range from Volcano through that. It's something people absolutely don't play around.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, the biggest thing is what I would say, what happens the most of the time is the Giggling Inventor. People don't just clear Giggling Inventor if they don't have a Mossy Horror or like a Blood
Right.
Knight or something. The 2 taunt minions will stick, and then you usually go for like a combo play. Like you go, because you have also so much ramp, you go like something like, let's say Serenite plus the 2 taunt tokens plus that. But even if you just buff 2 minions, that's already good enough. If you just buff the Annoyatrons, you have 2 3/4s and hit the
Yeah.
base.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's like a cheaper fungal, basically, right? Fungalmancer, like in a weird way. So for those of you that not familiar with the Scavenger, it's a 4 mana 2/3 Strong Shell Scavenger rare. It's Battlecry, give your taunt minions +2/+2. So you know, I think in the very small element where you're only buffing 2, it does feel like a Fungalmancer, but you have the ability to like pull off crazy stuff, like off of a spreading
Yeah.
plague, for instance.
I mean, especially right now when people don't really know that this exists, or at least most opponents. Like
Yeah.
in Token Druid Mirrors, you can go like Wisps, and he goes like, well, I'll just Plague Soul, and then you go like, well, I'll Plague Scavenger. I have 3 7s and you don't.
Right,
that's
right.
Yeah, that's another
That's
problem with
true.
Hearthstone is like when a list is like very popular and the best list, and it's played for a long period of amount of time, people learn how to play against it. And when you play against Token Druid, you know, okay, I use my single target removals for the Violet Teachers, no matter what it is. You need to have 2 or 3 board clears for the Whispering Woods Spreading Plague combo. And it's so much harder to play against a version like this because people expect the Violet Teachers and they never come down. And you make the board very hard to remove. Like if you play Serenite and buff Serenite, let's say, you can buff Serenite with Power of the Wild as well. You need way stronger board clears and way different clears. And clearing Serenite chain gang in general is awkward.
Yeah.
So-
Hey, move your mic a little closer to you. Just it's a little inconsistent right now. Yeah. But Shady, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was wondering how this does against Queststroke, because against Queststroke, I feel like Teacher is my MVP, where you really start to, you know, like if you can force the Vanish on the dudes, like it's really good, right? Because unless they go like double deckhand, they can't really kill it, right? Unless they run a backstab, right? That's usually been my go-to versus Queststroke. Just go for the Teacher and pew pew.
The very last game I played today was against Queststroke, and he completed the quest on Giggling Inventor. This was by far the most annoying game I played in my life.
Wow, that's crazy.
I've done that recently. Yeah.
Seriously? That's
He played
tough.
double fan. He played double fan and completed the quest with Giggling Inventor. And I still won the game. I don't know how, but it was the most annoying game.
That's a lot of Giggling Inventors.
Frustrating to play against that. And he do the second Giggling Inventor as well. So
Did you finish it with Plague and Soul and you couldn't clear it? Or what?
yeah. Like
yeah,
I think
that's how I win every token versus quest in the late game.
that sounds like the winning condition for the most part. So I'm not surprised.
But the thing is, Queststroke was way better versus the very, very old token druid that played Living Mana, because you vanished the Living Mana and won.
Yeah.
But now the Whispering Woods, you vanish them, they cost all 0 mana. You just replay that.
Yeah,
it's not a counterplay to it. So I think if they don't play Fan, you're heavily favored, because you can also just play Whispering Woods on curve, and you know, like,
don't need the Teacher.
I'm all for just beating the rogues, so that's
dude, I'm so happy.
Completely fine with me. Yeah.
Every time I win, I dance in my room. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
So
kind of going through the rest of this list, Mid-Range Hunter shows up really high, and Mid-Range Hunter I think has been a thing, the last 3 or 4 days now. So just seems to be a really good spot. Is it mostly because of Quest Rogue and decks like that this matches up super well with? I haven't actually looked at the matchup very closely with this deck.
I've seen board control just utterly destroy
Yeah.
druids.
Yeah.
It's just
Nice.
slays druids apparently. So
I want to also mention board control because he's also going to prelims, and if you look at his lineup, the title of his 4 decks is Odrog sucks, a mid-range hunter is the nuts. So
That's kind of giving up your strategies a little too early, right? Like he should have
No,
just. I would have stopped playing that deck after like the first 20 games, and then just like hidden that, like, or had that up
it's
my
off
sleeve.
decklist and the deadline happened.
It doesn't
already.
matter. You can still keep it up your sleeve until the actual, until you submit decks, right? But I feel like he was playing it like quite a
Dude,
bit.
he's
before.
playing it since day one, and I copied the deck. And
Oh, has he been
Yeah.
playing since day one? Okay, never mind then.
But a different version. But
yeah, it was more about he had trackers, right, for Subject 9 and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It's just basically what with Secret Hunter, right? I think mid range is probably, a little misleading there, but
He has
So
Hound Masters, right? So,
yeah, the Hound, yeah, that's true. A little
It
bit of a
is-
tweak, but it's kind of a combination of the two with the crackling
it
and the
is
secret.
as mid-range as you can go right now, I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, then we kind of rounded out Death Rattle Hunter, of course, still good. Odd Warrior, like we were talking before. This isn't I wouldn't say this is the crazy greedy one, is it? Let me see. I was playing the crazy greedy one like all week long, so this one.
yeah, one Direhorn, no faceless. Or...
There's the Azalina, which has been an interesting ad recently, but no Zolas, I don't believe, and yeah, so this is kind of like middle of the path type of Baku, not too fast and not too greedy, but then of course you got the Odd Quest Warrior, which counters that for the most part, and that of course goes into the just finishing the quest and just fireballing you or ragballing you basically the rest of the way. So yeah, I mean, these are the Quest Warrior's still good. I mean, not Quest Warrior, Odd Warrior's still good, and I think this pretty much represents the meta pretty well right here. Except for Quest Rogue isn't on here. If Quest Rogue was on here too, it would be like, yeah.
I don't know why.
Sums it up.
But I don't know why Quest Rogue is not on there because it kind of basically reflects the meta and how people react to it. Like
Well,
people
this is the last 24 hours. I mean, I think if you look at maybe the last 3 days in Legend, Quest Rogue is pretty high. Let me see. Let me just kind of bring up this.
like even if
Quest
Rogue
Rogue
doesn't
is
have
51. I mean, it's like 51.2. That's pretty high. I mean,
but whatever deck you decide to play right now basically relies on Quest Rogue being in the meta, especially on top 100 Legend. There's a lot of Quest Rogues.
yeah.
Like you play all these decks like Token Druid. You play decks that can't lose to Quest Rogue basically, or that counter Quest Rogue.
Yeah, it's
Just-
about, it looks like it's the 6th most popular deck right now in Legend. I mean, higher Legend's probably higher, but yeah, this is what you're looking at basically in Legend right now. Token's a little bit further down, surprisingly, so it could be just changing like literally within the last 48
Token Druid
hours.
sucks. People, you should not play it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
don't
feels like
play
the
it, guys.
higher up you
Don't
go,
play
the
it.
You can play it next season, the 1st of September. I heard it's a great deck to get fast Legend. The beginning of the new month.
Tips from Gaara as they revolt and say, "What are you talking about, Gaara? It's losing to Token Druids all ladder run or all the last 2 days." So yeah, the playoff submits were this last week too, right? So got a chance to see, like you mentioned, Board Control, Hunter Ace, some of their decks. So I don't know, a lot of people going with different types of decks. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually reads the meta right and has the right lineup for it. But right now, which decks would you bring to playoffs if you were going into it?
It's purely a gamble, to be honest,
Mhm.
because you can go anti-aggro, you can go anti-control, or you can go aggro, and then it depends on who you face. Obviously, if you go anti-control and you face full aggro, that's a fair L. But if you face anti-aggro with your anti-control lineup, that's a fair W. And I feel like the lineups, people go super polarized in tournament strategies as well now. Like people go full all-in, hard targeting something, like either control decks or aggro decks, or just go full aggro and target greed that way. And it's a gamble. It depends on what most people bring, obviously. like if most people bring aggro, then the anti-aggro strategy is the best, and if most people go control, then anti-control is the best.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, those are that obviously, right?
I
But
think
it's
I
just
think that on a high stakes tournament like prelims, because
Mhm.
it takes so long to qualify, most people would not bring full aggro because they're
Yeah,
like,
I
too
agree.
scared. It's such, you travel. This is such an important tournament. Do you really want to go full aggro? But I think full aggro is like will prevail. I
Really?
predict
Wow.
at least 4 lineups to make it in top 8 with full aggro.
Wow.
So
Okay.
50% of the lineups that go to top 8 will have full aggro.
So when you're talking about full aggro, like what kind of lineup are you talking about? Like
So
like
let me pull up
Token
RDU's
Druid.
lineup here real quick.
Oh, already used lineup is basically it. Okay, let me take a look. Oh my
Adios always
gosh.
doing great when he's bringing aggro. Or I think so. I'm not sure. Like
Okay, let's
Adios
take a look at RDS.
long-term
We can look at a
statistics.
few of them if we need to, but
So he's
okay.
bringing Odrogue. Oh, you have it. Odrogue,
Yeah.
Tempo Mage.
Oh
This
wow.
Ali Druid
Yeah.
could be Token Druid. It's
And
basically
Zoo
the
too?
same.
Holy smokes.
And
Okay.
Zoo.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like so when you because a lot of people think there was like this hype, there's always like some sort of hype before the deck submission, and the most recent hype was around Questrogue. A lot
Yeah.
of rank 1 legend players reach rank 1 with Questrogue, and the most hype was definitely around Questrogue. So I've seen also a lot of lineups with Questrogue. And basically, if you bring Questrogue and you face such a
Yeah,
lineup,
you die.
you're just
You're
sad.
dead.
Yeah,
There's like
it
no
gets
good
full,
matchup. Yeah.
especially in Conquest, and prelims are Conquest, so you're just sad.
Wow, this is pretty aggressive. I mean, this this is definitely very aggressive. I would think it would be like a 2-1 type of thing or a 1-2. Like a little bit of a split there might be the best thing. Be heavy on one side. Like if you're going to go aggro, 2 aggro decks and one, control kind of thing, or I guess here he's probably going to get the Druid banned here, right? If there's a very heavy anti-aggro lineup against him, or maybe they include it and they ban one of these faster decks. But
what is interesting is that he is playing Maligos over Token Druid. So
it's not. Yeah, it just means he's not completely going all in on it, which is smart. I think it's smart to do that. Like this is still a very good deck, and it's not super slow either. Like I mean, there are times where you can win kind of surprisingly quick with this deck, but I think it's smart to not go all in.
It's more like bias because he got multiple times rank 1 legend with Maligos Druid. So
you think
for
so?
him,
Okay, you think that's the reason?
I mean,
Maligos Druid's good too. I mean,
if you get if this is the meta, right? The most recent meta, and this is by far your best deck. Like reaching rank 1 legend is not easy, and if you do it multiple times with that particular deck, then of course you want to bring that deck.
Oh, I guess Maligos Druid is like right at 50. Okay.
So in his mind, this is definitely the best deck. Like he plays it the best. It is a high skill cap deck, but he's also performing with it against the meta the best. So
yeah.
And Maligos Druid fits in an all aggro lineup always because it targets similar decks.
Right.
It works with the same band strategy as well.
Yeah.
Just do the same stuff. Or...
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's very similar to Token Druid.
Any take on this, Shady? Like run it.
Ooh, I'm getting into all of this.
Yeah, I know. It's you're just getting like I guess like accustomed to all the decks.
I haven't played a single tournament yet. So
but
the thing that I noticed is the Odd Warrior is Scalebane, no Myra, right? So it's going real fast.
Oh, the with the Odd Rogue here.
Yeah, the Odd Rogue. So yeah. The Scalebane, no Myra. But for tournaments, I suppose it makes sense, right? It's just gonna go real fast. No long games with Odd Rogue. Because for me on ladder, Myra has been like so good, like
super good. Yeah, my experience with Myra has been really good too.
If you wanna bring up the other side of the coin, we can look at Fino's lineup right after this.
Okay, sure. We can look at Finos. Finos is anti.
This is anti-control.
Oh, it's control the whole time. Okay, let's see this.
This is the complete opposite. He brings the Questrogue, Evolog, he brings Torquaggle Druid and Death Rattle
Hunter. Oh my gosh.
So he doesn't want to face RDU. But yeah, it's in the hands of the gods. Like we're gonna face.
Wow, see, he's going all in here. I mean, this is literally all in. So
this is so risky.
I know this is crazy risky.
Because no, in Conquest, because of the format, like because all his decks are vulnerable to aggro, and an aggro lineup has to only like beat one of those decks multiple times. It's like especially bad in Conquest. That's what I'm trying to say.
As long as he gets through, I mean, I
If you play
guess it's true. Yeah, I mean, it's because I don't know. I don't know how many lineups are going to be all aggro. Like he's not going to, like, if he were to play for RDU, for instance, right? He's not going to ban Malagus.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to let Malagus go through and ban.
Oh, it doesn't matter what he bans.
Well, it does a little bit, as long as I guess Malagus can win in any situation too. So it's pretty tough. But I mean,
you just ban the mage and hope for the best, I guess.
you can't cover everything, right? So there's always going to be at least somewhat of a risk, and you just gotta go with it. But anything interesting in these decks here? Like Control Warlock is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think these are pretty standard run of the mill.
Like interesting decks is like if you bring up Casey, also like performing really good in tournaments. Like here's like one interesting pick in every single deck, in my opinion.
Oh,
compared
is he?
to
Okay,
others.
let's take a look at Casey.
Because Casey is like one of the best performing
What's Casey's
ladder
Twitter? I
players.
forget.
Casey HS, I think.
HS.
He's one of the best performing ladder players. Yeah, Casey _ HS.
All right, let's see. Yeah, Casey's had a great run recently. Oh, is it not here?
Yeah,
Oh, is that a
but
different
also ladder. I think he's all time.
one? I'll figure it. Hold on. we'll figure it out. That's it.
I just link it to you.
Okay. So yeah, playoffs are coming up. Should be obviously super exciting to watch. It's going to be it's pretty star-studded lineup that's going to be there. So oh man, look at this.
Especially Europe.
Yeah, Europe is going to be. Okay, he's got a big old rook right in the middle here.
He has a very cool like picture. Yeah. So what is interesting is that because Casey does, from what I've heard, he does like so much playtesting. I think he playtests more than anyone else. Like he starts playtesting and he playtests the whole day, like every day.
Miracle, man. Yeah.
And what is interesting, he plays Ziliax in pretty much every deck, and I've not seen anyone do that. He plays Ziliax even in Miracle Rogue and in Death Rattle Hunter. That's how much he likes that card or thinks how good that card is. And like he even plays it in Big Spell Mage. I've not seen anyone
with in this Hunter. Ziliax with...
Yeah, do you have the spider?
What is okay? There's a spider. Okay, I was gonna say I didn't see the spider at first. I was like, okay,
and I guess you can buff it with Kelesef.
Yeah, it's.
But there you can see how much he likes that.
That's interesting. Yeah.
That is like
his
very
lineup is super different. He's got Miracle and he's got Big Mage, and he's got Taunt Druid in here, right? So wow, okay. Like I said, it's just going to be really interesting to see which lineup selection ends up prevailing, and what the stats look like in the end of the playoffs. It's gonna be exciting, but no, it's always it's super. It's like indicative of the meta. I mean, there's a lot of viable decks right now. A little bit of rock paper scissors, of course, because of just how polarizing some of these decks are, but I think we're always surprised whenever we watch these, like Miracle, for instance. Miracle always, like, people are always surprised that people bring Miracle Rogue, and then all of a sudden Miracle Rogue finishes like top 4. 2 people in the top 4 have it or something crazy like that. So it'll be interesting to see if Casey has the same experience here. But that's this. Is it? When's it start? It starts Friday. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it starts on Friday. So yeah, definitely tune in. And I'm sure it'll be all over the place. If not, just if not, go to twitch.tv/play Hearthstone, I believe, and you'll find it.
Like this, it's gonna be Swiss, so it's always gonna be a bit tricky to follow how your favorite player is gonna do.
Sure. You always got Twitter. People are tweeting it all the time. Okay, well, why don't we move on? Shady, having you on, definitely. I figured it would be a great opportunity since we haven't had you on since you decided to switch from arena to meta. In fact, the last time you were on, you were here as an arena expert talking with.
Yes.
Right. So let's I guess let's get people up to speed. Shady, you decided to go, become more of a standard player, instead of a constructed player instead of arena. And why don't you maybe go into it a little bit, Shady, like why you decided to do that? Because there aren't many arena streamers these days, and you were like one of the top arena streamers. So deciding to go
Yeah.
standard, I'm not sure from a streaming standpoint
It
that's good or
sounds
bad.
a bit weird, yeah. For a lot of people, like a lot of my viewers, they were like, "Well, are you sure this is a good idea? There's so many people playing constructed." But for me, the answer was it had a couple factors, right? One was that I feel like the game mode is just supported so much better by Blizzard, and the way how I like to play games is supported a lot better as well. I like to really try hard. I enjoy games where I get to really, push myself to the max and learn as much as I can. And if you do that in arena, there's some recognition, right? If people go, yeah, you're good at arena, but you can say that you have like, let's say you have a 7.9 win average. That's elite. That's insanely good. Like overall, right? I'm not talking for a leaderboard push or whatnot. And people go like, yeah, but lots of people have a 7 win average. So I mean, like you're good, right? But if you play Legend and you're, top 200 Legend all the time, they go like, oh my God, you're so good. Like, that means something. Whereas I think that it's a lot harder to have that arena average than it is to have like a high Legend number.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, we're talking like insane consistency here, right? But anyways, that's a big factor, that the way how I like to play the game is just supported so much better. The other one was that I kind of just rolled into it because, well, it's about, let's say, 2 weeks before Boomsday hits, there was this bug in Arena where you had 2 to 3 times as many rares than you normally would have, and Blizzard just said, okay, we're gonna fix that next expansion. So basically, just endure it. And one of those rares was Mind Control Tech, and it just became so stupid because in constructed, like, I don't mind it because you kind of know which decks run it, and it's at your own risk that you play into it, and you have tools to play around it a decent amount of the time. In Arena, the majority of the deck's minions, so that's the way how you win the board, that's the way how you push. And I just got tired of losing for making the right play over and over. It's like, well, I have to play this minion. And then he texts me, and I'm just like, okay, well, that was fun. So it's those two factors combined. And I just started playing Constructed, really enjoyed it, really liked learning everything. I found that extra dimension where I could just be like, oh, you've played 2 plays, so you can't have a third one. That was really cool.
Yeah.
In Arena, you never know. Right? It's like, well,
yeah.
You might have 3 defiles and 2 nethers. You never know.
Yeah.
Whereas now, so it's really
there's
cool.
more game theory and more gamesmanship, I would say, in standard. Being able to predict and know, like, there's definitely an element of fun that Arena never has. Arena's just you just play. It's always, I think a lot of people have always seen Arena as just playing the highest percentage play. And just knowing that for so many different scenarios is what's so impressive about just you guys or the top Arena players. But
yeah, I would say that whenever now I get to see both sides, right? Because I'm decent at Constructed now, where I have so much left to learn, right? But I can see that when I make mistakes, the most common mistakes is I played around stuff rather than like, no, I need to play around a specific card. But in Arena, you play around stuff. You're like, okay, I'm gonna like trade this guy because he might have an AoE. That AoE might be a Primordial Drake. It might be a Defile. But when I'm playing against a very specific deck, I know like, okay, there is nothing you can do here. Like, there's not a single card in your deck that can beat me here. So it mostly involves trading. It's like, well, I go face, right? But in Arena, if you're in a winning spot, a lot of the time, the only way you lose is like, you go face, and then they pull out this ridiculous amount of damage somehow, or they
clear your board,
they steal your charge guy and kill you, or something stupid. So in Arena, when you're ahead, a lot of the time, it's just trade it out, and you win.
Yeah.
Whereas in Constructed, I've definitely lost games because of that. So yeah, it's been very cool to see that shift to play around very, very specific cards. I like to always ask myself now, like, what am I playing around by doing this exactly?
Yeah. Anything you miss from Arena?
Drafting, right?
Drafting, yeah.
But I feel that if I play more, I'll get up to the point where I'll be able to deck my own decks and, like maybe innovate, make a whole deck on its own. And that'll, replace that feeling mostly, I would feel. But yeah, drafting was super fun.
Okay, so right now, in terms of like picking decks that you're trying to learn and play, like how do you do, like what are you doing? Just kind of, are you building your own decks, or are you just mostly seeing what everybody else is playing, kind of
So
thing?
right now, I'm going fairly by the book. I just use HS Replay and go,
yeah.
okay,
Oh yeah.
what's got a high win rate? What is very popular? Because those are the two things I like to combine, where I like to learn stuff that's good, but I also like to learn stuff that's popular so that I know how to beat it.
Yeah.
Queststroke was a very specific one where it was really funny because the day before I was just hating on Queststroke and saying, why are people playing this? This is so anti-fun. And then the day after I realized I'm going to have to play this because I need to know how to beat it. And I'm glad I did. I played like 60 games of Queststroke or so. Yeah. And you just learn that they're not unbeatable. Like even if they have the quest, like you can definitely still lose as the Queststroke. You can't just go infinite with Zola and Giggles whenever you want. Like specific conditions need to be met. So yeah, that was good. But that's my methodology. I'm just going by popularity and win rate and slowly working myself down the list.
Yeah, kind of establishing that base knowledge. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I feel like I just need that. I need to know what people want to do. Like Talk, for instance, I haven't played yet, and I know what they want to do, but I haven't felt it yet, right? I don't know, like when you're playing a deck when you're playing against a deck that you've played, like, okay, he's thinking about this, next turn he's going to want to do this and that. But I'm playing against Tog, like, well, he's trying to get through his deck, and then he's going to swap me and naturalize me, right? You're like, the broad game plan, but not the very specifics.
Okay, well, definitely good luck to you. I'm sure you're going to be, do well once you've put in the time and be able to, learn a bunch of these decks. Right now, it's kind of a crazy time. It feels like a different meta. Maybe like a year or two ago, you'd probably be able to catch up pretty quickly because there's only like 3 decks or 4 decks that are super good, and everybody's playing the same decks. But right now, man, like we were just talking about the lineups, there's like 12 different decks right there we just talked about.
I prefer this. It's fun. Yeah. It gives me a lot of things to do because, I mean, streaming Hearthstone is my job, so I can just put in 10 hours a day, no problem, and just like jam a bunch of decks.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Definitely good. So you see yourself being like trying to play in HCT maybe next year, or trying to qualify that way?
Yeah, I think that this season, right? Because new season just started, right? So this month definitely, I don't expect a good finish. So many decks I still need to learn, but then the next 3 months I can kind of just get my first feel for how competitive it is on the ladder.
Cool.
But I don't really assume that it'll be that great. It's more for the next season that I plan to get some decent finishes and then maybe get some extra points here and there.
Okay, man. Well, that's awesome. It's gonna be fun seeing your run there, and obviously you guys can check out his stream and watch him anytime like there. Are you just not gonna play Arena anymore? I mean, you're gonna play some Arena every once in a while.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
okay.
It'll definitely happen. I used to stream a lot with Educated Collins, who's still an Arena streamer, and we just had really good fun. Right now, I just feel like I can't really put in the time just because I have so much catching up to do. But once I'm caught up, and because there'll be a point where I'm just like, okay, I'm happy with 2 servers for now, right? And then we can just play some Arena. But right now, I don't have the feeling I'll be happy yet because there's so much to learn.
So Arena will be spare time. Hobby.
Yeah.
The Arena hobby is all it'll be.
Honestly, I just don't want to come in there and be like 0-3 4-head, right?
Yeah, oh no, man. That would be terrible.
That's ruthless with that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I want to give a quick shout out just to some of our supporters of the show, our patrons, of course. If you are interested in supporting us, helping us do these shows each week, go to patreon.com/valuetown and throw a pledge our way, because it goes a long ways. And there's a lot of people that have been doing it for a long time, so we always want to take a little time and give a shout out to them. So Mike T, our legendary producer, of course, and then we've got Engine S, Raydan, Feldy Locks, Old Man Riv, Johnson C, Vince F, Alex F, Bruce W, Nburst, Gabriel G, David H, David F, and Andrew C, just to name a few. So thanks so much, guys. You guys are amazing. And again, check out patreon.com/valuetown for any of the other posts that we do there. You don't have to like pay to actually see the posts that actually go on there. So just check that out when you get a chance. Okay, so another interesting thing that happened this week was that Iksar ended up appearing on Tice's stream during Gamescom, which was really awesome. And they basically had a full out interview, on Tice's stream during that time. And a lot of interesting points came up with it. There was like a Reddit thread that kind of summed it all up. But I figured out, we'd talk about some of the points that came up because they seem to be really good discussion, some good discussions that we could do here. So Quest Rogue came up, as a polarized matchups, and I think that just the general question came up of whether I think changes are in store for it, and from what I got from it is like it sounds like it's not going to happen, based on I guess what we currently see with statistically, and I don't know, it could change obviously, but from what I got, at least from what he said, it didn't really sound like they were thinking about it quite yet. Even though he did say it's very, very popular, like, or at least right before he left for Gamescom, Quest Rogue became very, very popular. So we talked a little bit about last week, Gaara. That Quest Rogue just is not good for the game. But at this point, I mean, I feel like it's so popular that it's starting to at least get into the range of where I would consider the designers taking a look at this, right? But what's your take on this? At least from what you saw from the interview, like, do you get the feeling they even think that Quest Rogue is a bad thing for the game, or, like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I made so many videos over the past 2 years about Quest Rogue specifically.
Yeah.
I feel like I just I lost all hope in regards of Blizzard in terms of balancing the game, because it's clearly not balanced competitive wise, like not even close. And I don't feel like they're trying, because at this point it's almost impossible, just because of certain cards like DKs, like how do you balance regular cards around DKs, because they're so much more powerful than regular cards. And quests, right? Quest Rogue specifically, how do you balance around Quest Rogue? Like, they nerfed it 3 times. They nerfed it indirectly because like the gadgets and ferryman, I thought the deck would be dead when Coldlight Oracle rotated to Hall of Fame, and Gadgets and Ferryman. Those 2 cards were so important for the deck. And during that rotation, they nerfed the quest to make it a 4/4. But before they nerfed the quest that you're required to get 5 bounce backs instead of 4. So I thought all that would be enough to nerf the quest, but no. Sonya,
too good.
Sonya is by far the biggest problem with the deck, I think. Without Sonya, I think the deck would be fine, honestly. Sonya and Zola, because with Zola you have like an infinite loop after the Valera, so you have no chance with control decks because they basically have infinite resources. So if Zola wouldn't exist, then you could actually out-resource the Quest Rogue, and you can actually tank the damage because there are only 4/4s instead of 5/5s. But Zonya makes the quest too easy to complete, unfortunately. Like, you can just randomly at some point with 5 mana play Zola and charge in 3 minions, and then you get 4 bounce backs for 4 mana from 1 card, basically. Like 1 card plus the charger. So way too easy, way too efficient. But this is like draw RNG, very similar to Kaliseth, right? The win rate of Kaliseth played on turn 2 with any deck is absolutely ridiculous. And what did the player do? The biggest problem I have with these kind of decks, or with certain cards and power level of certain cards, is how easy is it to play. This is what my biggest issue was with J Druid in the past, and just Druid in general. Like, everyone knows how to play Wild Growth into Nourish into Ultimate Infestation, and that beats like most games in Hearthstone. So Kaliseth, what is the skill of someone playing Kaliseth turn 2? There's no skill. You draw the card and you play it, and you're 80% to win the matchup. And the thing with Quest Rogue is you draw Sonya and you just complete the quest. So what was your skill? You drew Sonya and a charge minion.
Yeah.
And it's complicated, but it is these situations that make it so stupid. And if you really understand the game, if you play the game yourself, if Blizzard would play ladder on Legend themselves, they would see the problems. I would say it's not just data. It like, you would immediately see, okay, Quest Rogue is a problem. It's not just, if you just look at data, like we discussed this, like, I think a year ago or so. But when you look at the win rate of Quest Rogue on ladder, it looks pretty balanced or pretty fine. Like, back in the days when Quest Rogue was a bigger issue, it was 38% win rate on the ladder.
Yeah.
if you remember. 38% win rate. That's horrible. But it was like the biggest problem in tournament play because it just destroyed every control deck. It got hard countered by every aggro deck, and Ladder is mainly aggro. But it was still a huge problem for the game. It doesn't matter if it's a 38% win rate Ladder deck. And it's the same. The polarization, it forces, because of the polarized matchup of Questrock, it forces people to also play super polarized decks. The people that beat Questrock is very well beatable. Those decks are usually very polarized. You play decks like Odd Rogue, which lose to anti-control decks, or like Tempo Mage. Like, what if I don't want to play Tempo Mage? It forces you also to play certain decks if you don't want to lose to Questrock, you know? And I don't want to be forced to play decks. I want to play the deck I enjoy playing. Like, for me, it's control decks, but I feel right now they killed control decks with like Top Warrior Druid.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Shady, what's your take? I mean, you've clearly played against a lot of rogues. I mean, you happen to be playing a deck that's decent against it, so maybe it's not quite as painful, your experience.
I haven't really gone to. For me, the biggest bad matchup was Death Rattle Hunter. So I do agree with Gaara that it's just, when you look at the numbers, it's fine, but just gameplay experience, it's really annoying, because I was just like, well, I can't play Hunter right now. Oh, that sucks. I was just like, but it's not just like, oh, you know, sometimes bad matchup. It's like, you know, I have to like try to kill him by throwing flanking strikes at this guy and going face with wolves, and then hope I don't get banished. So yeah, I think that's the main problem, that you really enter this rock, paper, scissors system, which, you know, in card games usually is there to an extent. But with Quest Rogue, it's so like, okay, if I face aggro, I'm very likely to die. If I'm facing control, I'm very likely to win. So it's too skewed, right? The chance to win if you get a good matchup is so high, and the chance to lose if you get a bad matchup is also so high. So that's probably the main problem. If it were more 60-40, it'd be like, okay, you know, we're not favored, but you know, we can try. Yeah. Whereas, you know, if you're an Odd Warrior versus Quest Rogue, you're just like, you know, you just hope the guy screws up. That's essentially what you're doing, right? Yeah, or Valera is like card 29. Maybe then you can win as well.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it's, you know, we've definitely talked a lot about Quest Rogue, but I guess my whole thing is just like, it's the whole details, right? It's not just, like you said, Gaara, about the winning percentages, because the winning percentages they're not great. I mean, it's like 70-30 or something like that, like overall, which 30 is pretty darn low. Like, I think 30 is maybe even a bit too low, you know, in terms of even looking at it purely from that. But it's just the type of deck it is, right? And even just like the, you know, the structure of how like the value of the card is built and how it builds up. I mean, there's just flaws there. Like you said, Sonya's a huge issue with that, you know, in terms of that. And even just the completing of the quest and the value that comes from that. I mean, there's an inherent kind of, I guess, snowball to that, which never feels good, right? Like, it feels like the game actually happened while he was trying to get to the quest, and once he gets to the quest, the game's over, right? So I don't think that, even from a design standpoint, is a good way of designing, you know, even a type of deck that's being built. You know, these quests dictate decks, you know, like people build decks around the quests. So, you know, in this particular case, you know, it literally is like, once you reach that quest, it's won, you know, like for the most part. And I think that's where the you know, the actual exact problem with the deck is really in that, you know, the way that crazy amounts of value come at the end, and, you know, changing it from a 5/5 to a 4/4 sure helps.
And that players, wait, I have to add that players don't really interact with each other. The quest doesn't really want to interact. He plays like his solitaire game, but the opponent can't also interact with you completing the quest too much, except he goes just face and kills you before you complete the quest.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about the Warlock quest, right? The Warlock quest it's not exactly the same, you know, in the design of it, but it has a similar type of you know, value result to it in the end. I mean, it's not quite as crazy as the Quest Rogue, but still, it's just like that. Thankfully, that card never was good, you know, because that card would just felt terrible, I think, if people would be using that portal like super early. So it really begs the question of just like, why are they designing cards like this? Like, even if it's supposed to be a meme card, like, is that what it was supposed to be? And then it just became something super good? Because if it wasn't, then, I put Quest Rogue in the same boat as like Mill. It's like, these are not good designs for the game, and especially when you're trying to get like an interactive, and I mean, you can argue, I guess, a little skill in trying to pull these things off in bad matchups, but for the most part, it doesn't play for a good game. So, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Like, why do you think they do design non-interactive decks? Like, there has to be a reason for it. Anybody with an idea of it? Like, I mean,
like for me, it is so mind blowing that I really can't find an answer why you would do that. And like, for me, it was even a bigger issue with Jade Idol, because you could have changed Jade Idol with one simple change to like shuffle 3 Jades in your deck instead of like the infinite loop. Like, why did it need to have that effect in Druid, that can cycle the deck the very fastest out of every class, that is already so powerful? Like, why does Druid need to have like the best Jade card in the game for 1 mana? Like, it was so, there was no reason for it. You can't really explain it. And it's the same reason, like, why do we need to have Questroke in the game? Like, and it's not fun to play against it. Like, I never enjoyed playing against it. It's so weird.
Why? I guess the question. So here's a good question: do you enjoy playing it? Like Shady, when you were playing Quest Rogue, did you even enjoy playing it?
It was challenging in that. Okay, so this is my experience with Quest Rogue, right? I felt that I was misplaying every turn, and I still won because it mattered more what I was playing against rather than how that I was playing.
Wow. Okay.
I noticed a lot but that's not that I'm like a terrible player. It's just I feel the deck has so many little nuances and things that if you're not a master playing the deck, you'll mess up so often.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the most important thing is just getting your right matchup. So like I played against, this was actually kind of embarrassing, right? Because I was learning the deck and I queued up against Cho, and it was on his stream as well. And I played so poorly, but he was a warrior, so it didn't matter. Like at one point, he even Azaleen at me. He stole my prep and my vanish, and I didn't burn my prep, so they just did it again, right? So it was like, what am I doing? I was like, well, I'm a rogue and you're a warrior, so you're gonna lose. That's my experience with it.
Like, this is such a good example. It is so
a good
funny,
example.
But because Sho, you have to.
He's an extremely good warrior.
Sho has like 20 to 40,000 games of warrior played lifetime, and this is such a. And Shady just started like constructed then, and in Questroke is like a very high skill cap deck. How polarized the matchups are, and it goes the same way. Like, if you play against a tempo mage, you can be the best Questroke player in the world. You just die turn 5.
The other guy is a mana worm, and then you die.
Yeah. So I mean, we see those matchups even with decks that we like to play. So I mean, I feel like that's kind of a different discussion. Whether it's like a do nothing type of deck or just a single player deck versus there being polarized matchups. I mean, so the problem with Rogue is like it's both.
There were so many options. It was fun.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a funny anecdote to share.
It's a good one. All right, let's move on to maybe the next thing that they talked about. I think the mention of Giggling Inventor came up. Just the fact, I think he just wanted to see if they anticipated it being as strong as it was. He said that they didn't realize it was going to be quite as strong, but they knew it would be good. Like want to be one of the best cards. So I think the same question came up whether they think maybe something will change at some point, but I don't think it's I don't think there was any signs that they would do anything, from what I collected from it. So let's see. Next thing, let's see. The Death Knight. I think the next thing that we're talking about is just like he mentioned the Death Knight in the hero cards, and Gaara, you alluded to it a little bit just a second ago in talking about Quest Rogue is just. These cards, right? They're just so powerful right now, and
I mean, the thing is that I like the idea behind it. Like when Death Knights were first announced, I was super hyped for it.
Me too.
Back then, like we had only these vanilla cards, and then Death Knights. Wow, new win conditions. Different way of playing the game. But 2 years in, they became so annoying, right? Because they're so much more powerful than any other card. and the only counterplay usually to a Death Knight is your own Death Knight, and then it's all draw RNG. Like you can't beat Gul'dan. Like if I have Jaina, you need Gul'dan. Like if you have Gul'dan, I need Jaina. Just as a dumb example, you draw Rexa. Okay, I will need my DK, my Dr. Boom, or my Jaina, whatever. And it's a card that can win a game by itself. Like literally one card. It's
Well, it's like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like the power level of the DKs are super huge, and I too was super excited when they came out mostly because of the new win condition. But it's because of DKs that we've had just the resurgence of control. There was a time in Hearthstone not that long ago where it was just like all aggro and mid range, and like there was no chance of having a control deck. And now we're in this control era because of the DKs. So I think when they do get retired, I mean, what's going to fill that void? Like we're going to have a huge void in control. I mean, things like Dr. Boom help.
Please don't call it control era right now, because this is as bad as control decks has ever been.
Oh, really? Oh, I kind of feel like there's been more control decks like in the meta in the last year than there has been prior.
No, right now since Dr.
Oh,
Boom.
right this second. Right this second.
Dr. Boom killed the control archetype in my opinion, because the anti-control decks are good enough versus aggro, and they just destroy like really super polarized versus control. Like Big Spam Mage, what we have, or Bark Warrior, like the combo, like the Togwaggle Druid. You got too many tools for the anti-control decks that the power level is just so high that there's no way. Like Shadowhawk Shaman power level and Togwaggle Druid Queststroke, like all these anti-control decks, or Death Rattle Hunter.
Yeah, but you could point the finger at the anti-control tools. Like, should they have been made? Yeah. They shouldn't have been made. Like, these infinite like type of cards and crazy, Azalina just getting a ton of resources and Myra and stuff like that.
Do you remember the reaction of Floop? Like, why is Druid getting Floop? I feel like every single expansion, every pro player is like, why is Druid getting this card? It's like buffing like the best decks in the game. Like, Malygos Druid was the best deck before the expansion came out, slightly. And then Malygos Druid got Floop, like the most ridiculous card you can enter the deck.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, Boomsday for sure. These some of these tools mixed with some of the ones that weren't getting any play from Witchwood, I think has caused this crazy anti-control reaction, because anti-control before was just like aggro. It was some form of just like tempo and like trying to kill stuff, and that's pretty traditional. I think that's like a traditional way of countering it. Now we actually have these slower decks that actually kill them, which is incredible, and I think we've gone way overboard on that end of things, and created this weird problem we've never had before in Hearthstone. So, but anyways, I guess my point is with the DKs is just that I think it's just going to be a wacky world once they are retired, and I don't know, we might end up like, I know we'll still have some heroes around, right? Like, there'll still be some hero cards. They seem to be still printing them one at a time or two at a time. But I think that we could be in a state where it's just like it swings like a pretty crazy aggressive end of the spectrum, which a lot of people complained about too. So it's gonna be tough. I mean, I think that before this last expansion, I think things were really, really good. So one thing that came up in this interview is just kind of how the design cycles are too, and like how much far in advance that they're doing, or at least design for things. And I think they just finished what was it, Shady? We were just looking at it before the show.
14th and 5th. 14th, 15th set.
Yeah. So they finished designing the set 14, and now they're starting set 15, like the initial designs for that. So set 14 is set for April 2019. So they just finished designing for that, and there's going to be, a good 8 months before that comes out. So I don't know. That's just like really tough. I feel like designs should be, in terms of balance designs, need to be made a lot sooner than that. And I know they reserve some space to do that, but like, do they remove cards? I know they've added cards and maybe changed cards, but do they actually remove cards that are like thematic to to the actual set. I don't know if I've heard them actually ever say that. And some of these like anti-control things. I mean, I don't. I kind of I'll give the team more credit than maybe some other people won't. Like I think there's good enough players on that team now that they could see how like something like an anti-control would cause something like this. So like I guess like I wonder if they have the ability to even pull stuff like that.
I really wonder. Like the next year's cycle is so insane. Cube is also rotating, I think.
Oh,
like all the
is it?
DKs will be gone, all the
Yeah,
quests
that's
will
right.
be gone, and the cube, and like something huge has to replace it. Else
Or
we're going
not.
back
Maybe
to vanilla.
nothing just replaces it, and it just like slows down. I mean, not slows down, but the value goes down, and that's the biggest thing with those cards you talked about. The value level is just insane right now at the end of games, and it allows for crazy combos, allows for just endless games basically, and so I think that part will converge. Definitely probably shorten games, which obviously will have an effect on meta too. But
We will never go back to vanilla. Never.
well, not
Like because
vanilla, but
because some cards always stay in the game. For example, like you mentioned, Dr. Boom stays in the game and Hagata, those two DKs. And
yeah.
if other DKs rotate out, that makes these even more powerful. So
Think
if
yeah. You think
they're already
Hagatha? You think Hagatha would be like crazy over the top?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like Shadowbox stays also in the
Maybe.
game.
Yeah, like Hagatha
God.
alone, because I played a lot of the tempo shudder, right? And
Mhm.
Hagatha alone, you can just win against Odd Warrior. You can just
It's insane.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. I've
Yeah,
played-
you just get
played that one.
Stonehill. What it's called?
what I do, right? I just never play Lich King, and I just like I hard mode for Hagatha and just try to get Eureka, and you just like play Eureka, get a Lich King from your hand, and then you try to Spirit Echo, and it's like
Oh
you
wow.
just like you can
Okay.
just like Spirit Echo Firefly, and then you like Firefly again, get another spell, play the Flame, get another spell. It's just
Oh man.
I think
Yeah.
Tempo Shudder, which is like a mid-range deck, right, is favored against Odd Warrior by fatiguing the warrior.
That's what I mean. That's
Because Hagatha. If
Yeah.
Hagatha is not the thing, you don't come close to. I mean, you can beat the warrior, but you have to actually kill them, right? But with Hagatha, you can fatigue them, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think that with the DKs, like you either have, I mean, there's a limit. Well, maybe there's not. The kind of thing that you're describing is like it's like a never-ending type of value cycle there. But I think that for the most part,
Hagatha.
yeah, right. But I think mostly like they're either divided into the bucket where it is like just never-ending kind of value where like Rexar and stuff can just like continue hero power and create value, or it's like just a burst of stuff like Gul'dan, right? Just a huge burst, and you finish the game, you're awesome, you win. If you don't, then you're gonna lose because you're gonna run out of resources. So I think that they seem to be sticking with that, or at least with the value ones, because that's what Dr. Boom is too, and Hagatha has the same attributes to them. So it'll be interesting to see what they do next. But
I'm curious if every set's gonna have DK from now on.
I think so.
I know
right?
what they started, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know it's DK, but it's just going to be heroes.
Yeah,
right?
sorry,
like it's
hero
going to be
cards,
two heroes
Like,
each time. Yeah,
I call them DKs because they
yeah,
were DKs at the start.
right. Okay, well, let's see. Anything else in the interview kind of stand out, like maybe worth talking about? You guys thought?
Yeah, it was just like for giggle, like I don't really mind the card too much right now, and but that's because Blood Knight really, because a lot of the time,
in Mossy too.
I was playing Odroke and I was like, man, I'm so happy Giggle is popular because it's like you're just a Blood Knight in your hand, like play your Giggle, and just like it's so good. And whenever I play against the deck that I know can run Blood Knight, I'm terrified. I'm just like, am I gonna lose the game by playing this card? So like it's definitely powerful and super popular, but as long as people can, figure out decks where Blood Knight works, that's such a huge counter because like you get the 9/9 and it's like the shields are gone. It's a really big swing. So it's something.
I feel like I keep repeating myself since 2014 how important counterplay is. This is why giggling inventor is not a problem. Counterplay.
Oh, counterplay is
For both sides. Like, this is huge. This is why Giggling Inventor is not overpowered. You have the Mossy Horrors. A lot of people are attacking that to just play it on curve and then
Yep.
you blow you out. It's like insane value. And the Blood Knight in aggressive decks mostly, like Odd Rogue and stuff, because it fits perfectly in the deck. That both players have to think, okay, if I like Shady said, I have the same feeling. Like I play Druid, I have this card in my hand. If he Blood Knights me, I lose the game because Druid has no heart removal. But yeah, it's like, yeah, there's counterplay from both sides. It's great. This is what we need. But if I've played, let's say, Barkowar against Torgwaggle Druid, well, I will lose the game, and there's absolutely nothing I can do at any point of the game to influence the game that I win. So that sucks. It's very bad gaming experience wise. And this is, I think, especially extreme against Questrogue because it's so polarized and it doesn't really come down to the plays. Like Shady said, like he played against Shio, one of the best players still, I would say. And the way how good you pilot your deck should matter a lot. Your tech decisions in your deck should matter a lot. Counterplay should matter a lot. How two people interact should matter a lot. And just not, I queued Questrogue into Barco Warrior, and that's why I win this game of Hearthstone.
Yeah, I didn't deserve it. I definitely didn't deserve it. Like, I was like, I wanted to
No,
go.
Is this when you feel embarrassed about your win? That's
really
when a game
don't.
is bad. When you feel embarrassed about winning.
I did. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that should be a very basic thing to check.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we move into some Q&A for any folks that have questions in the chat. Let's see. Ahmeden, our normal question asker, has one. Should we have a nerf round this cycle? And does Giggling Inventor deserve a nerf? Okay, so I mean, we just talked about Giggling, right? And I think the fact that it does have counters, like, I don't think it actually needs to be nerfed because of that. It is super popular though, but the actual card itself for me doesn't. I don't know. I don't think it's actually that bad. That's at least my opinion. Should we have a nerf? Yeah, of course. Like I think nerfing anything or buffing anything is good for the game. You know, like in keeping things interesting during mid expansions. What do you guys think?
Make the quest harder.
Make the quest harder. What? So 6 maybe? I mean, we're talking like you might as well just not have the quest. You know what I mean? Like
it's more like a meme suggestion. For sure.
We definitely get to the realm of that.
I want to go back to that, man. Like, yeah, if you want to change the conditions again or nerf them, but 4/3s or whatnot, it's just. Yeah.
Do you know that at that point when they nerfed the quest to 4/4s, everyone said like, there's no way the quest.
Right, yeah.
There's like ever. But now you play this Giggling event after you complete the quest.
Oh, yeah, actually a funny thing where if they do end up nerfing Giggle, everyone that crafted quest is gonna be like, hey, I don't get a refund. Right?
That would be brutal. No,
like you indirectly killed the deck, but there's no
refund. That's true.
Oh, that was another thing. The nerf patches, like the removed patches as well, right? There were so many indirect nerfs to Questrogue. Like patches was such a big deal for Questrogue as well.
Yeah, that's true.
And Questrogue is still a thing with everything that rotated out. It's absolutely
yeah.
Oh, so let's see. Boca Life actually says that Questrogue is far from solitaire. Zelay went on a rant about it the other day and was pretty cool. So, I mean, I think in the bad matchups for Questrogue, you're right. I mean, there is like this level of skill that some of the pro players can navigate it better than your average even legend player, like a low legend player. But that's not what we're arguing. What we're arguing is that there are just some matchups that are just auto win. And in those matchups, it is like solitaire. I think those, like the warrior matchup, like you just said, there's not much. There's no threat. There's like literally 0 threats for the quest rogue during the time he's going to quest, building up the quest. So, Zelay, I'm sure was arguing. I'm sure when Zelay's playing quest rogue against like an equal or maybe even a bad matchup, that there is a ton of there's a ton of skill involved that you can maybe turn it around, but. No question, there are terrible matchups against Quest Rogue in the meta right now.
Also, that nobody is arguing that Quest Rogue is one of the highest skill cap decks in the game, but that doesn't matter. That makes it even more threatening. I would say.
Exactly. That just means the win rates right now are not even represented, that great at the
If you
highest
play
level.
Quest Rogue perfectly, oh my god.
Like 90-10, kind of craziness. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, guys? See, another thing here is, let's see. It says, Gotrek said something earlier, which says, I believe some players really like those solitaire decks like Freeze Mage. That's why they print them. When I asked, why would they even print them?
Again, Freeze Mage is so different because
Very
there is
different.
counterplay.
Very
There's-
different. Yeah.
There's so many different things you can do. You can out heal yourself out of range.
Mhm.
You expect Alexstrasza, safe healing, safe removal for Alexstrasza. There's so much interaction. It's not solitaire, absolutely not. They run out of freezes. You can count freezes. Like they have an amount of burn, a specific amount of burn, a specific amount of resources in terms of freezes, board clears, damage, everything. It was such a different gaming experience, and it was a super high skill cap deck. I think Freeze Mage was excellent for the game in comparison to Quest Rogue. Like you can't, because of these infinite resources and decays, all this mixed in combined in one deck. Like you have the skilling inventors after the quest complete. You have like Sonya, which is basically you complete the quest for free for no reason, right? You like I mentioned, you can get for 5 mana, you get 4 bounce backs on 1 minion for just 1 resource, which is ridiculous. And then the Zola plus Valera infinite loop. You get 4 minions on the board. Infinite. Those things, just there's no counterplay.
So, the one thing just to at least give like one positive thing about the quest, I actually do like how the quest completion is done. Like how you actually do complete the quest. I think it's really roguelike, and it does feel like it should be something like that. I think they just need to change just what the end result is, with the core or what, what is that? And if they just redesign that, I think it would be fine, actually. But
It's like what I said with the decays. The idea is great, like that we have these alternate win conditions, like different way of playing the game. Like I think also the idea behind the quest is great. It's just that how it is in the game is so bad. I feel like the power level of decay should have just been lower. Even if you make them not have infinite resources, they would still be playable. Like they're just way too strong, right? Like for example, if Gul'dan would deal 2 damage and heal for 2, it would still be a playable card. It's just that they're over the top powerful.
Yeah. Let's see. Book with follow up. I feel like when you make a choice to play a deck like Control Warrior, you have the understanding some matches are going to be bad. People playing Odd Rogue feel the same way when they queue into Control Warrior. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's different whenever, you have a chance against like, when you're playing Control. Generally, if you played a Control deck back in the day, right? Like if you had a crazy aggressive deck, like I don't know what it was, a Hunter or Face Hunter or anything like that, you still felt like you had a chance. Like if a certain combination of things happened for you. But I think like the margin of victory right now, or at least how close it is so far that like Shady was saying, he probably made a ton of mistakes during that game, and he still like won fairly easily. I'm assuming the end results were still easy.
Just as long as your Valera isn't the last card.
Yeah.
You just need Valera Zola, and then it's actually one guy went through 8 cycles of like a shard on a Super Colliders and 3 Zolas before he conceded. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm just like, freeze it, Zola, freeze it, Zola, freeze it, Zola. Right, so I was like, I was just saying, why are you doing this to yourself, man? So it's like brawl, flurry. I was like, what now? More 4/4s.
Let's put it this way: there shouldn't be a matchup where you legitimately should concede just to save your time. Like, people do it sometimes out of frustration, but this is actually at high levels, like the kind of matchups in some of these, like legitimately you should be conceding.
I mean, it can happen. Like they can MC tech one of your guys and smork you down. You don't have a vanish. Like there are ways where you can lose, but yeah, it's pretty
close. Yeah. So and that the nature of Hearthstone is that there will be bad matchups, like unless it's like a mirror matchup or something. But it just can't be to the point where, really considering auto conceding. I've never done that before, but I have done it a couple times. I have to say this last week
I had like situations where I played 3 games in 30 seconds. Like I queued Bakuwer into Quest Rogue, I conceded, and then I queued Bakuwer into Tempo Mage, and my opponent conceded.
Yep.
Like
Yeah, and that shouldn't happen. You know,
30
It's like-
seconds. One
Excuse the stats too, man. Totally messes up this. No, I'm just kidding. We don't count those games at all.
That's
Um,
hilarious.
Okay, so yeah.
Nice
Any
gameplay.
last questions? Let me check Twitter, see if there's anything else. But if anybody's got any questions in Twitch chat, definitely feel free to ask, and we'll answer it. But win trading, win trading at 50%. That's not usually how win trading works. I guess maybe if you're going for golden heroes or something like that, you could do that. But oh, so what's your thoughts on just like I guess nerfs and buffs? Like we should have another round, yes or no? Like
Can't talk about buffs. Did we ever have buffs?
okay, sorry, nerfs.
It's just nerfs.
Just nerfs then. Should we have one in about a month or so? Maybe not even a month. Maybe like 3-4 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm too new to the format, but
Yeah.
I mean, change is usually good, right? If
oh,
as
it's
long
always
as-
good.
someone
Yeah,
does-
that's why I was saying just like we should absolutely do that.
I'm just always cautious because they like nerfed stuff in Arena and then without properly testing it, like broke something. It's like in the Taverns of Time event when they corrected a bucket, they suddenly increased the appearance rate of the time-bound giants, the guy that gets cheaper when you draw cards.
Yeah.
And it's like it became a thing of like, well, who can draft the most giants? And then the guy that shuffles your hand back into your deck. And then I play
Oh
zero.
wow. Wow. Oh gosh, really?
It's like
That's
terrible.
terrible.
Yeah, you like fix the arena, and then it's like way worse. But I'm assuming constructed there's like
Yeah,
way
the good news is that kind of stuff doesn't really happen on this side of the game.
Another reason,
You know,
why
The
Switch-
community doesn't have to point out things that they try to like sneak in there. That at least that doesn't happen very, very often. So GoTrix has a question for you, Shady. So when are you going to actually play in a tournament? Even if it's not HCT, any kind of maybe open tournament or something like that.
So it could definitely happen next month. There's some stuff through the team that I might potentially play in, just to get some experience, right? Like I don't have any. I don't want to cut any corners, so I know I need to start somewhere and get wrecked, and then be like, all right, let's not do that again next time.
You're right. Let's see. Oh, Boca asks, how far in advance do you guys think that Team 5 plans? I think we just talked about it, right? Like they plan 8 months in advance.
8
Like
months or
they
so.
design 8 months in advance, and then they reserve some space, like maybe 2 or 3 slots to maybe get something in, from a balance standpoint to correct or to help with whatever's currently going on in the meta. But it's not much though. It's not like a ton of room.
Basically,
Yeah.
2 sets, right? What they say.
Yeah, 2 sets, which is kind of crazy. And then he actually asked, when Ticking Abomination came out in Knights of the Frozen Throne, did they have the Mecha Cthulhu Coffin Crash thing a year later planned? Oh, I guess so. Right?
Let's see. Next, no. Well, you have. So you
Yeah,
have.
I think
you have
so.
Cobalt, and then you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You have Kobolds and you have Witchwood, right?
Kobolds, Witchwood, then Booms, right? So,
Yeah. So I guess not. That's a year, right?
oh, that's yeah.
Maybe.
But
Actually,
I-
no, it's close, right? It's
Yeah.
close.
But I would definitely not give them that much credit. I feel like that
That's
they're
just-
not like when I look at the Fibonacci combo for Mechatoon with the
Boom Shield Slam thing.
Boomskip, Maligos, Mechatoon, Whirlwind, doubling the rate.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't think they knew about that like that long time before.
Yeah, that one. That one would be
Stuff
really,
like
really hard
that.
to read,
No way.
read that into that.
No way.
Yeah. Speaking of Coffin Crasher, remember when everybody gave Coffin Crasher 5-star? It was going to be like one of the most broken cards in that set, and we barely even see the thing right now, which is crazy.
It's because Priest has that type of deck has no win condition.
Yeah, that's
You decay.
That's so much easier to do for Arena though, rating cards. Because
Yeah.
much easier. You just look at mana cost stats, like, okay, this thing's gonna be really good.
so. Coffin
Which is
Crasher is good in Arena, right? Like that.
Yeah, I
that's-
mean, it's okay.
It's okay,
But
okay.
one of the things like Corridor Creeper, like almost every Arena player was like, this thing is broken. This thing is busted.
yeah.
Because like Arena is just minions. So it was so funny when we saw constructed players rated like bad. And we're like, what are you guys thinking? This thing is...
anything that can be free is generally good. Like, yeah, that's kind of like I think a rule of thumb here on out.
Looking forward to be very wrong for constructed predictions next set.
It's entertainment. It's a way to make content sometimes, man.
Yeah,
strong.
you just gotta go out, and the bolder the statements, the better, right? It's
That's
like,
right. That's definitely right.
the meta. Right.
Okay, well, I think that's all we got. Oh, one last thing that we may follow up from last week is like, did you guys end up finishing the puzzle labs? Like, Gaara, did you end up finishing them all?
No, I had no time. I have to grind ladder because of the finish.
Yeah,
I will do it like beginning of next month, I think.
I
really wanted to do it.
I still haven't finished the board clear one. My son actually beat me to finishing it too, which was like, oh my goodness, that's like another milestone. I'm not sure it's a good or bad milestone, but it's a good milestone for him and a bad one for me. But he ended up finishing it before me. But Shady, did you finish the puzzle labs?
No, I actually haven't started yet. I just
Oh wow, okay.
felt like I had so much to catch up to.
Yeah.
For constructed, but
I'm
I'm
true constructed player.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Screw the other formats, man.
I'll be enjoying it at some point, but I'm saving.
They're good. It's really good.
But I
Man.
really feel like I really don't want a ladder, but I haven't had that feeling yet.
Yeah.
Or at least not for more than like my break time or whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, after actually getting to experience every single one of them, I even more kudos to Blizzard just for the work they did on Puzzle Labs. So good. But okay, well, anyways, I think we're gonna wrap up here. But Shady, awesome discussion, and it's gonna be good to have you or get a chance to watch you play standard, and it's just watch you grow as a standard player, and maybe have you on here a bit more too. If you're ready and willing, it'd be amazing.
For sure, yeah. It's always great to be here, and looking forward to getting better at this format. It's been great so far. It's been great. People have been great. The game's been great. So.
Now it doesn't happen that often anymore. So I think even chronicling it, might be something cool for you to do on YouTube or something like that. Just to really. That's always a fascinating thing, right? People always talk about difference between arena players and standard players, and and there's always speculations as to what
sure
those things are. So really,
I can give both sides.
Yeah,
I can give both perspectives.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because how many top level arena players do we have? I guess we've had a few in the community. Who was the Asian player that was super good at both? Gaara. Yeah, you should know, right? Like who was? No. He's like from the Asian server. Used to be like in the finals HCT all the time too. Is it Astrogation? I think Astrogation is like super good at both. Yeah, unless I'm wrong about that, but yeah. Anyways, there's not very many people, I guess, that's been like basically at the top of both.
Shtenadachi, right? He played a ton of arena.
Oh, does he really? Oh, I didn't know Stan played a lot of arena. Okay.
Crazy amount of wins on this main account.
Nice. Stan good at that. I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
I mean, he plays so fast, right? It's just like,
yeah, that's true.
Cards.
That's true.
Right.
All right, Gaara, shout outs.
To my stream, I stream every single day, twitch.tv/GaaraShaman. All the social media, Gaara, follow me there. Love you all. See you next week. And back to the grind.
Yeah. All right, awesome. And I'll wrap things up by thank you guys for watching. Reminder that Value Town is an hsreplay.net show, so definitely go and check out hsreplay.net to find your best decks at your rank and region, or if you're premium. If not, then just find just the general meta and just a lot of good stats that are around the game right now. Want to remind you guys you can find the VODs on youtube.com/hsreplaynet, as well as on the audio channels, popular audio channels like iTunes and Google Play and Spotify. And one last thing too, check out Crip's stream recently. We're doing something with Crip with hsreplay.net, so he's been using it a lot and just talking about it, so go check that out when you get a chance to. But that's going to be it, guys, for this week of Value Town. So for Shadybunny, Gaara, and myself, ChanmanV, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.